Well, those Dominican poachers caught fishing illegally in Bahamian waters still in custody tonight. Good evening, I'm Desmond Saunders. Welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Well, just 1 week after more than 100 Dominican fishermen were caught poaching off the coast of Key Labos in the southern Bahamas, the country's chief magistrate handing down some severe sentences to those men during a special court sitting yesterday at the Magistrates Court Complex on South Street. Our very own Altavis Munnings was in court during that ruling. Here's her report.
Well, Bahamas Police and Defense Force and immigration officers, some armed with guns, guarded the Magistrates Court Complex on Nassau Street Saturday, and the defendants once inside the court. There were also prosecutors from the Royal Bahamas and Defense Force in the court. The fishermen, who were shackled in twos, were divided into groups for the arraignment. The crew of the boat, Paul and De Morosa, all pleaded guilty. The third group faced 5 counts each. On count number 1, engaging in illegal foreign fishing within the exclusive fisheries zone of the Bahamas, each defendant who made up the crew, excluding the captains, were given a 6-month sentence in jail, as well as they have to pay a $40,000 fine. Each captain of the 3 vessels were fined $80,000 and 6 months in jail. Failure to pay the fine will result in a further 6 months in prison. On the counts of possession of undersized Nassau grouper and possession of undersized crawfish, each defendant was fined $3,000 for each count. On the counts of possession of air compressor tanks and spare guns, each defendant was sentenced to $3,000 on each count. Failure to pay the fine results in an additional 2 months in jail, which will run concurrently. Chief Magistrate Joanne Ferguson Pratt said her ruling had to send a strong and clear message to those who have pleaded guilty and would-be offenders. The Chief Magistrate went on to say that there can be no reasonable explanation why the Bahamas had to be stripped and raped of over 70,000 pounds of shelled and scaled fish. She also noted that the court has a zero tolerance for these actions and that the defendants caused considerable strain on the country. For example, the need for a special weekend court session. In total, the fishermen were fined over $6 million and will have to spend nearly 3 years at the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Meanwhile, the captain of the boat that reportedly shot at the Defense Force vessel was charged with possession of an unlicensed shotgun and possession of an unlicensed shotgun with the intent to endanger life. He pleaded not guilty to those charges, and his trial will begin in late January of 2019. A crew member also pleaded guilty for possession of dangerous drugs, and another crew member pleaded guilty for ammunition. The Dominican fishermen learned about their charges and sentences through an interpreter, and when the sentences were handed down, many of them looked at each other very bewildered. The Marine Resources and Fisheries have been handed over to the Ministry of Finance. Altavis Munnings, ZNS Network News.